and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Pure Evil MMA, and I got a special guest for us here today. Welcome back to the show for the second time here, the legend, Mean Bean Romero, who has an upcoming fight and a rematch, 8 years in the making against Dane Sayers, and it's going down April 27th, and I cannot wait to check this out. You're coming out of retirement because last time I talked to you, it was your last fight, and that put you on a 4-fight winning streak. So what made you come out of retirement? What was calling you back?
I went through a divorce, so things needed to be re-added to my life to get my life back on track, and obviously fighting was at the top of the list for me. So I'm back.
So now Tat is back. Well, I know that you're going through some positive things, like your son graduating from high school, right?
Yeah, my son graduated from high school last year, so that was some good stuff. So I was pretty excited about that, and it's nice to see that young man graduate.
So you've been doing this for so many years now, and right now I guess you're working as a parole officer. Is that right?
I'm actually a probation officer.
Probation officer.
I'm an intensive pretrial release officer, so I have a pretty decent, good caseload. So keeps me busy, and I work night shifts, some nights, and day shifts. So a lot of give and take in my schedule, but I always try to make time for training. So
now that you're back in the gym, like what went into like discussing this? Of course, like you want some changes to go in your life, but when you were discussing with your team, your gym, what was their say, and what went into making this rematch? Because you guys had a split decision years and years back. Like, what made you choose this fight? I know that was lined up like in your mind, but now it's going, and it's going to be going down April 27th. What made this happen? What was put into place?
Well, we had towards the end of the negotiations for my divorce, we had decided that we were going to take a lot of fights to open up 2018. I know I had a fight scheduled for Fargo for January, and then King of the Cage for February, and then April and June, 2 other King of the Cage shows, and then my lawyers decided that we should probably hold off on signing any kind of contracts.
I saw that this fight was supposed to happen, and like at the beginning of January or something like that, and it got switched up.
Yeah, so we decided to hold off, and I was honestly, my head has really not been in it with other things going on, obviously, and I've struggled trying to stay focused with my training regimen, and that's really not like me. It's normally when I have a fight on my brain, I do train, and that's all I think about, and I've struggled. So the fight with Dane relit that fire for me, and that's all I can think about now is training. And Dane, he's a UFC vet, Ultimate Fighter vet.
He was on Ultimate Fighter with GSP. I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, he brings a lot to the table, and he actually, when we fought, I don't know if you saw any clips. I'll repost the clips from my fan page, but he actually shattered my not my orbital, but my nasal socket, and I had to get total reconstruction in my face. And I think in the third round, after the third round, every breath I was taking, I was swallowing a mouthful of blood. So it was an amazing fight, and it's one of them fights that excites me. And there's nothing. It's an exciting fight, especially for local fans for the Midwest. I mean, people that came to that fight, still say that was probably one of the best fights to ever come out of the Midwest. So I'm really excited to fight Dane. And me and Dane are, we're good friends. We were good friends before we fought. We're registered at the same reservation. Are enrolled at the same reservation. And
he's a Native American as well?
He is, yeah. And before we fought the first time, we were talking after we fought, or we fought on the same card, and we talked at the after party, and we're like, hey, uh, we're destined to run into each other. We should just make this happen. And I'm like, okay, we'll have some beers tonight, and we will unfriend each other on all social media, and we'll meet each other again in the cage. And that's what we did. And we had a war, and I was approached about fighting them, and I was apprehensive. Then I'm like, you know what, screw it, man. This is gonna make me train hard, and it's gonna probably bring the best out in me, and that's what I needed. And then he messaged me, he goes, "Are we gonna do this, or should we not?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
because that's got to be weird. Like, was your tribe like, this is something that we don't do? You guys really shouldn't fight.
no, it's nothing like that.
It's nothing like that.
No, and we talked, and we both agreed, and see you on the other side. And and after the fight, we'll have some beers again, and hopefully it doesn't break my face like it did last time. But I mean, it is what it is.
Well, I know that it's like harder for some fighters as they get towards past 15 fights, professional fights, to really find that motivation for a fight. And here you are, you have all this aggression. So just thinking about what's going to come out of it all, I'm looking forward to this fight, and I know that you guys are really big from your area out there, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people pouring in. You have AXStv as well, who has been picking up huge promotions that have been feeder leagues to the UFC, like LFA, CES. I was just at CES last weekend. I know that you're coming out of retirement, but if Bellator or UFC knocked on the door, would you be open to that after an exciting fight or something like that? Because welterweight's a fun weight division.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn it down.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, the way I've always looked at, I've tried getting into the UFC, and I mean, I've had some good fights. I've had some tough fights. I've had some heartbreaking decision losses that I don't think I should have lost decisions to, but it is what it is. As far as the UFC or Bellator, I wouldn't turn it down by no means. But I mean, at the end of the day, man, I'm a probation officer. I love my career. I love my job, and I've worked way harder at becoming a probation officer throughout my life than I have to get in the UFC or Bellator. And so it's no love lost. I mean, I'm not upset if I don't ever get into one of them promotions, but I mean, it would be icing on the cake if I mean, got there. But I mean, I'm not going to lose any sleep off of not getting a contract.
The interesting thing in 2018 is usually in the past it's like UFC or nothing. Guys usually will second guess Bellator, but now with them picking up some big names, some legendary names as well, I wouldn't be surprised if you see more and more fighters be comfortable with Bellator as the first pick as we move on. Just seeing the UFC with, I don't want to say greedy or throw any shade towards them, because I'm a credentialed media member, but maybe Bellator is opening up a lot of doors, and a lot of fighters aren't second guessing Bellator anymore. And with you, if you can put on an exciting performance, Bellator is craving people that are going to pack stadiums, and I know that you can out there where you're from, and especially if this fight is anything like the first time around. But are you feeling like it's going to be a decision again, like a close fight, or are you going in there to finish it off?
I'm going to finish it this time.
Do you have like a prediction in your head without giving too much away?
I think I've evolved more of a fighter since the last time we fought. I know. I mean, if you've seen, I mean, I've been watching our last fight, a few times now, and I would totally kick the shit out of the me that fought him 8 years ago. I mean, I know my ground game has evolved, my stand-up game has evolved, and I've seen something, his last fight, and he was the same fighter that fought me, and I think that he's coming off of a huge layoff, and I've stayed active, and I still train with some monsters, and I train in his old stable. So, I mean,
So it's more of a comfortable fight. You're really comfortable with this opponent.
No, I'm not comfortable fighting Dane, but I don't think it's gonna go to a decision this time. I think it's going to be a tough fight,
Maybe
but
not
I don't.
comfortable, but confident. It was the right word,
Yeah,
right?
I'm confident. I'm confident in my skill level. I'm confident in the fact that uh, I've come a long way as far as my technical ground game, and I've never showcased my stand up. And I know that I know I got a solid stand up game. I know my training partners, get pissed. I can drop my training partners with body shots. And my last fight, fought a really tough opponent that I couldn't finish, but I was confident knowing that I could stand with him, and I did stand with him. And uh, like I said, I'm confident. I'm ready to fight, and I'm ready to, put it all on the line and throw some fire.
And I saw that you were back in the gym. You're working a crazy sweat. You're absolutely drenched from head to toe on your Instagram. And guys, make sure you guys are following Tat on Instagram at MeanBean170. If you're not watching the video cast, there it is for you on the podcast because you can't see the tag. But I got to ask you, man, you got a new tattoo. What's the inspiration behind this new tattoo that you got? And what is it for the podcast listeners that haven't seen your Instagram or
Well,
seen it?
on one side of my ribs, on my left side, I have a wolf who, he's the king of the woods. He's the king of the north. And then I got a lion. I just got a lion to cover my other side. He's obviously the king of the jungle. So I mean, I don't have much room left on me. So I
Yeah,
needed
you
to
got
get
the
the two
whole.
kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
is there like a Native American story behind? Like I know there's the story of like the two wolves in the Native American culture that
mhm.
I'm a huge fan of. I still want to get like two paw prints because that story just means so much and just connects. What was the inspiration behind the tiger besides it being the king of the jungle? Like, is there a story behind the tiger that really inspires you?
No, the lion.
The lion.
No, no, not really. Other than he's the king of the south. The king of the jungle. And I just wanted to get something that correlated with a wolf, and so there's no real story behind it.
So another thing that came out last year, we were speaking about Ultimate Fighter a second ago, and the winner of last season is actually Native American, and now she's the UFC champion. Is this something that your tribe has talked about in celebration? Because we've never really seen anything like this before. Is she from your neck of the woods, by chance, Nico Montano?
No, I don't believe so.
No. I mean,
Mm-mm.
what is it like? Like, what is the village like? Like, I've never been. Of course, I'm from Connecticut. There's Mohegan Sun. There's Foxwoods. But what is it really like that community?
Well, I haven't been I wasn't. I'm not originally from my reservation. I'm just registered there.
Okay.
So I mean, as far as speaking of, reservation living, I'm to be honest, I'm not familiar with it. I have family that live on the reservation. I have really good close friends that live on reservations, and I can't speak from experience, so I'm not going to speak on it at all.
Okay. Okay. I definitely
Mm.
moving
understand that.
forward, obviously you got a new car too, so that's another positive thing in your life. The Chrysler 300. Well, what went into this decision? Is that your car, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've always had a 300. I've had a 300 for a few years, and I just, kind of upgraded. New year, new me, and you know, I have a good buddy that works at a dealership over in Virginia, Minnesota, Ken Washke's. So Georgie really hooked me up. So
I had one of the listeners actually message me a question for you. They were cruising your Instagram, and they saw you jumping in the ice bath. What is that experience like? They want to know.
uh, I I love it. I mean it's the first couple seconds, maybe a minute, it sucks a little bit, but after you start to get used to it, it's like jump starting your muscles. It's you're sore. You get out after you get out, you feel like a brand new person. I know there's a big fad going to chirotherapy.
I was going to ask you
Uh,
about that. Have you done that?
I, I've never done it, but I mean, uh, we don't have that shit up here. I mean, I
Really?
live in upper north, the upper Midwest, northern Minnesota. We don't. I'm. I travel on the weekends to train with any kind of big gyms. I travel like 4 hours, 5 hours
Wow.
just to train with a good team. So I'm very isolated up here, which I like, but sometimes I don't.
So I can actually relate to you. I was just going through a whole relationship thing myself, and even with the podcast, like it was just hard to concentrate a lot and hard to get inspired. So if you get this win underneath you or a loss, like either or, are you still going to be motivated to keep fighting, or is this something that just came from just things that have been happening in your life?
Uh,
Like
I'm
was
just
this
gonna keep putting
just
one foot in front of the
day
other,
by
and that's
day,
all.
right?
That's all I can really do. And you know, I'm coming off of a loss of one of my childhood best friends who passed away in October. So that was a big part of my inspiration for coming back. And uh, he was a big help going through my divorce, and then uh, losing him was devastating to me. And it's it's a big motivation for me to keep pushing forward. And like I said, I'm just gonna. Before I was always like, oh, one more fight and I'm done, and then make these emotional decisions, and then I'm done. No, I'm just one foot in front of the other, and if tomorrow I decide that I'm gonna be done, I'm gonna be done, and I'm just gonna go quietly into the night.
Well,
I'm not gonna announce a retirement again. If I decide to be done, I'm just gonna be done.
well, because I remember last time I talked to you before your last win, you didn't tell me or anybody until that night that it was your last fight, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
announced it right after my fight, and yeah, I I regretted it the second I said it.
well, because you see a lot of fighters who do retire, like you even see it with a lot of MMA fans. Are like, we don't really believe like you're gonna really retire because that it's in you. It's all you guys really know, right? Like,
hmm
so you got this whole PO thing going, and I see that you're doing it in style with like the Easy E socks. I mean, that must be uh, cool to walk in and know that you're a fighter and you're wearing all swagged out, rolling up in the Chrysler 300. I mean, things don't seem that bad out there for you, Tap.
Man, I gotta say I am. I mean, despite all the bad, I just don't focus on it. I mean, I had a rough upbringing that I'll admit that I brought it all on myself. The prison life, and I was granted and I was blessed with an opportunity to turn my life around and to make a huge impact. And I've always, even when I was in prison, I wanted to be a PO. I wanted to be a parole officer. I wanted to change lives the way that they helped change mine and believed in me. And I would never become this cookie cutter agent or probation officer. No disrespect to my coworkers, because I love them and they treat me like I'm family. And I treat, I look at them as family, but I'm me. I'll always be me, and I treat the people that I work with, the people that I supervise, like human beings, because I had good teachers, and we have a very good agency that I work for, and uh, I'm just I'm blessed, man. There's nothing else I can say, but I love my life. I really love my life, and it could have been a hell of a lot worse for me. And I, no matter how bad things get, I wake up and I'm blessed with an opportunity to change lives. And that, even if I can't fight tomorrow, I'm still able to make an impact.
So at this point in your career, especially, what is it like? Like, is it any different than before getting ready for a fight?
No,
No,
I'm
it's
still I'm still grinding. I
still the
This
same
is
feelings and everything. Do you still get the
yeah,
jitters
yeah,
and
yeah. And if I don't, then it's time for me to be done. Like this is leading up to a fight is the most exciting part about fighting. I mean, I hate fighting. I hate getting hit in the face.
you don't hear
I
many
hate
fighters that say they do. Yeah.
I I I hate I hate everything about fighting except everything that leads up to the fight. Like the second I step in the cage is the second I stop enjoying it. And then after the fight, then I enjoy it again. Like, I love coming out to the cage. I love hearing my name. I love, I love the beat of the drum. I love this. I love the music that I come out to. I love the culture part of it. I love the atmosphere. But the second I got to turn into that monster, I don't like.
You
But
have
it's a
all
part.
this. I'm sorry, Dad.
But it's the part of me that I don't like. The part of me that I got to turn into. I don't like that guy, but I know it's a necessary monster that I got to deal with in order to be good at fighting.
Well,
If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And I feel like this time there's going to be added aggression. Maybe you might not feel the exact same way because you have so much aggression built up inside of you right now with everything going on, maybe.
There is, and I'm trying to control that. I'm doing sweats. It's a traditional, and I'm trying to feed that wolf that doesn't,
The
I'm
good
trying
wolf.
to feed the good wolf.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep my emotions, my bad emotions away. I offer tobacco to the Great Spirit every day, and I pray for strength, and I thank Him for everything that I get, and life is good, man.
And now you got 4 wins behind you. Like, you have all this momentum, like a tidal wave, just building and building. So I'm really looking forward to this upcoming fight. I cannot wait to see it. I know a lot of our listeners, a lot of your fans are definitely looking forward to seeing this fight. And you just brought something up that I wanted to ask you about. I was scrolling on your Instagram and saw you use hashtag remembering the 38. And you posted this in December. What does that mean? What's the story behind remembering the 38?
Well, the 38 that were hung by Abraham Lincoln, December 26th.
Okay, that's something I wasn't familiar with.
Yeah, they don't teach that in history anymore.
It's
or
crazy how much was actually not taught to us in history class.
Yeah, so I mean it's a big old political thing that I'd rather not get into, but I'm trying to get more in touch with my culture, and I wasn't raised culturally, so I mean I continue to learn more and more about my culture, and I try to not light so many fires, but people tend to think that I enjoy doing it, so I guess we'll see.
It's just interesting. I remember growing up, I wanted to learn Italian because my grandmother would scream Italian at me and stuff like that. And I was never raised in Italy, but yet my grandfather came over to Ellis Island. So, of course, there's an interest there. And your culture especially, there's just so much deep, rich history there. So I want to thank you so much for coming on Pure Evil MMA once again. We are really looking forward to your fight. You kind of gave us a prediction of how you see it going on. But do you see it ending before the third, in the third, the second, the first? Have a prediction like that, or you just don't want to give it away? We'll see come fight night.
I don't have a prediction. I just know it ain't going to come down to a decision. Either he's going to knock me out, or I'm going to submit him or knock him out. I just know that there's not going to be a decision.
And at the end of the night, you two will have a beer. And this is going down April 27th, guys, at Legacy 38 at the Minneapolis Armory. And guys, I cannot wait for it. I know that you guys can't wait for it. We want to wish you best of skill. And thank you so much for coming on Pure Evil MMA once again.
Thank you. Hey, I want to give a shout out to War Tribe Gear and Grip Mouth Guards. They've, through everything, them are 2 sponsors that have stuck by me. And also Palmer's Tavern in Hibbing, Minnesota here. I can't even say how thankful I am. They've stuck by me through all the bullshit, all the retirements, everything, and they continue to support me. So I'm very thankful for them guys.
And shout out to the people who gave you that tattoo. What is it? Primo Ink?
Primo
tattoo?
Ink, yeah. It sucks that they become so good because it takes so damn long to get in. But I mean, it's a stable, man. If you struggle to get into a tattoo artist, man, it is worth it. And Primo Ink out of Grand Rapids, Minnesota, they are amazing. So I mean, even if you got a book a couple months out, man, that says a lot about their work. And I'm a walking billboard for them, and I'll always be. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that.
Tat, I want to thank you. One last question for you before we let you go. I know that you're at work, but have you ever heard of the Book of Five Rings?
Yeah, I have heard of that, and that's on my to-do list.
Yeah, I just bought it, so I've been asking fighters about it if they've read it because I know it's like a big thing in mixed martial
I just
arts.
heard Joe Rogan talking about it on one of his
Him and
podcasts.
Matt. I listened to the podcast.
Matt.
I did a U-turn and went to the bookstore.
Yeah, so I put it on my to-do list. Like I do a lot of driving for work, and I listen to Joe Rogan all the time as I'm driving because sometimes it takes me a couple hours to get from one point to the other. So I do a lot of podcasting. So.
And I'm so thankful that you've come on Pure Evil MMA because we have a pretty big audience as well here. So always graced by your presence here. And maybe next time we can reminisce about the book if you catch up on it.
Hell yeah, I'm going to do that.
And we'll celebrate
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll celebrate your 5 wins in a row. And really looking forward to this fight, Tat. One last thing. Anybody that sees you at the fight afterwards, are they free to come up to you, say hi, take pictures?
Oh, hell yeah. People get pissed off because that takes so long taking pictures. But man, I mean, if it wasn't for the people that come out and watch me fight, I mean, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much. So yeah, please do.
Pat, thank you so much. Have a great night, and we wish you best of skill come April 27th.
Thank you.